Hey. I'm your host, Troy Smith. Welcome to the Night Lounge. First of all, I'm your host, Troy Smith. And we have the illustrious, world-changing, world-documenting expert, Sharee. Say what's up, Sharee.
Hey. I'm so glad to be here. Troy, yes.
Oh, here you go. Get some more claps.
Thank you.
So you can feel special. So we got big time people coming on the Night Lounge, coming into an end of 2020. Big time folks is wanting to really transform folks' way of thinking. Sharee Moore, one of them folks that really try to get your mind on point.
That's the truth.
Is that the truth?
That's the truth.
That's the truth. You can tell all about her voice and diction in English language. You know,
that's me.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. She about getting it right, make sure it sounds right, make sure it's clear, crisp.
Yes, it's important to be understood.
Understood. Let me ask you something, Sharee. No, let's stop. Let's back up. First of all, welcome to the Night Lounge, everyone. Make sure you are hitting the subscribe button. Make sure you actually have been a part of the conversation by dialing in right here. You're gonna be able to ask Sharee any book writing questions, self-publishing your book, all of that. She's here.
You can ask me anything. Y'all can ask me anything.
Okay, so you know what? You heard that, y'all. So she got to be able to answer it.
Right, I can answer it. I got you.
So this is the time of the phone number at the bottom, 615-745-9438. You can also leave a comment, but sometimes your question may be warranting a call, so she can hear it and actually be able to break it down for you more. So feel free to do that. But then make sure you own everything Night Lounge, everything social media related. Subscribe to the podcast. This will probably be the last live recording for 2020. But it will be a lot of episodes been uploaded to all the platforms here over the week because we'll be off. Trying to figure out what to do. Make sure we gotta do. Spend time with family, but then catch up on a lot of different stuff. So welcome to Night Lounge, Sharee. We appreciate you.
And thank you for having me. And you know what? Hey, Troy, if they call in, I'm going to deliver so much more if they call me and ask a question. I just believe in giving more than what you ask for. So please give us a call. Please
feel free to do that. Well, we got someone, it's very easy. You got to be careful when you use the term expert because that people going to expect you to deliver a lot, right? But right. Those folks that don't mind stepping up to the bat, stepping up to the plate and swinging that bat, do what we got to do to make it happen. So,
right, I ain't scared. Any questions?
We got the self-publishing expert, the writing coach, Sharee Moore, gonna be helping us understand the different levels of, or just the whole minutia of how about self-publishing your book. But before we get to that point, we're gonna know a little bit about her personally. All right.
Right.
Sharee Moore is a former military expert as well. She's been in the military, y'all.
Yes. Yep. I still got it.
Still got a couple of guns, but before but you don't like to say, it's like reluctant. You don't put that out there so much. Tell us why.
That's true. I just don't. And I think just being vulnerable as a woman who served in the military, and the fact that I had not deployed, I kind of put my service at a certain level as compared to those who are in the military community that I live in. So, we're right here next to the incredible 101st Airborne Division right here at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And so, you have a lot of people who are injured, dealing with the emotional, physical scars and things like that. And I escaped the Army with none of it. So, it's just a little way that we can kind of disqualify ourselves. So I'm not different in that.
So you don't feel over like, I was part of the military. Yes. Do you at least accept the benefits when you get a discount at the store? Or?
Hey, I pulled that card out with the quick. That card's right there at the front of my wallet. Okay. Sometimes in that little pocket right there in the front of my purse, don't even make it to the wallet. I'm getting my discounts. I use it for my education benefits. I'm doing all of that. And in person, I'm a proud veteran.
Because we talked about that. He's like, well, I didn't get deployed. I'm thinking, Sharee, that's a story in itself. The fact is, you gotta be almost perfect to even get in. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have 20/20 vision and everything else going on. So accept that with pride. So when I say thank you for your service, I want you to accept it with pride in your chest out and show your muscles and say you're welcome.
Right. I received that. Yes. I'm a proud Army veteran.
That's what I'm talking about. Because I was listening to my boys B3F. If y'all don't know who that is, go check out that podcast. But they had a guy, I can't remember his name, Will Willis or something like that. He's actually on like the Discovery Channel or History Channel, has a show. He's a known person, but this guy's a full-fledged G.I. Joe. But he also feels the same way you do when it comes down to not being deployed. Because while you there, you're like, hey man, we got people that's actually out here living life and going through the struggles and battles that went through deployment. So I'm really reluctant and hesitant. He's reluctant and hesitant to actually say, yes, give me all the praise. I was in the military. So
right. And too, also being a medic, I'll tell you, a lot of other veterans and other soldiers kind of look at a medic like, now the infantry, they have a lot of respect for medics, because if it wasn't for us, a lot of them might have been left there. So, that's the truth. So in war, a medic is respected, but back when you're prepping for war, medics don't get, like,
love.
They say we're shamming.
So it's like basically like in I don't know if you're familiar with sororities or fraternities on black campuses or black school, like you paper. You had to go through the gauntlet of Hell Week and everything else.
Right.
I get it. I understand. So you're from, now you got to break it down about this little small town.
So you know what? You want to be bringing up some stuff. You want to go back to the archives, right? I mentioned Pottstown, Pennsylvania one time to this guy, and he keep bringing it up.
Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
But that's one of those towns that you got to say how close you are to the major city, though, right? You can't just say.
Right. I mean, we all up on Philly, so we're right next to Philly.
So they be saying, yeah, I'm Philly, 20 miles this way, 20 miles that way.
Right. I'm about 40 minutes from Philly, depending on how fast you drive.
And now, how many stoplights you got in that town?
You know what? I remember a time though, back when I first started driving when I was 18. I remember there being one light. There was one light on the main street, like. Yeah.
And y'all got blacks in Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
A lot of black people. You know what? A lot of people from New York and Philly, they come to Pottstown just trying to start over. Bring the drug trade.
Start fresh. Hey, we got
the charter new lands and things. So
got it. It's Pottstown, Pennsylvania. You grew up there. You got an interesting story though. You said that you had to learn to laugh at yourself to avoid people trying to talk bad to you to put you down. Tell us about that.
I'll tell you what. See, okay, growing up in Pottstown, I started off going to public school. But my mom, she said, girl, you gonna make something of yourself. And she put me in this private boarding school, which is right next to Pottstown, in this small, like secluded, wooded place called Pine Forge. And this was all
Pottstown?
Right. Yes. I mean, it's nothing but, as a matter of fact, I mean, it's really hills and valleys, trees. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Pine Forge, Pennsylvania. She sent me there to a boarding school, all black boarding school. So I'm in this all black boarding school from 10th grade to 12th grade, got my whole life together. The people who graduate from this school, they do really well in life. I mean, very affluent people who, you look and you're like, okay. So that's where I came out of. So, I came out of Pottstown, and they made fun of me there too. I couldn't even go to Pine Forge, the most secluded place in Pennsylvania, and be accepted and embraced. No, I was still from Pottstown.
So you went to a smaller place, smaller than Pottstown. They still clowning you?
Right. Because everybody was from New York. They were from, Florida, other places. And here I am from Pottstown. But guess what? The way that I got my whole life and situation, my popularity, everything that changes, I got me a job at KFC. Let me tell you. Got me a job at KFC. Grandpa done gave me the brown Chevette, the 1980 Chevette. I could roll up on campus with a big old bucket of chicken.
Oh my
I
God.
had so many friends.
So you were just you were doing all the stereotypical stuff, but you was friends with everybody. She got the chick.
Class. Well, I can't say I was friends with everybody because once I was in, I don't know, I started acting brand new. So, once I was in,
talking bad,
wanted to be friends, but I was a class clown, pretty sarcastic. So I was rough on folks. I don't even know how all these people still talk to me today, just being honest.
So you was Facebook before Facebook. You was the
I was trying to be
making people look bad. What would you say? So what was the thing you used to run into? People to say you wasn't black enough or something, Sharee?
Right. That's the truth. I mean, how are you going to be at a brown like me at an all black school and people want to make fun of the way that I talk, Oh, wow. You sound like a white girl. You sound like a white girl. And I'm like, and then I had this Pottstown accent.
Did you ever? So what happened? Did you start talking ghetto or something, black, or what? What was the?
That made it worse. I tried so bad. It just didn't work out. Didn't work out.
Tell me what you sound like. What was your character?
No. You're trying to be entertained for real.
You was putting them birds in flight. So you was flipping the birds, though. You was doing the birds, putting them birds in flight. That's what the street boys say.
So you know what I did? I learned how to be funny. And then I learned I learned the power of my sense of humor. Because I mean, you can't fake funny. But I also learned how to be, just clap back. I had a smart mouth and you didn't want to be on the wrong side of it.
Ooh.
So I couldn't cuss. I couldn't cuss for nothing. But
your cuss words so bad?
I didn't even try because I knew. One time I think I tried to say a cuss word. It got real quiet, and the people was looking like
Pottstown cuss. So you cuss. So what's the biggest?
No, I said maybe one word. Like that was never my thing. It was never my thing because it just didn't sound right. Even when I went to the army, I ain't talk like that.
You just been classy. What's up, Sid? So you've been classy all the time, huh?
Well, hey, grandma put it in me.
Okay, put it in me. Why you got to put the little R&B voice on?
That's this is an evolution. I've evolved over time.
Right. Well, so this is a good thing about so Sharee, like I said before, is the book writing expert, well, she's writing coach and a self-publishing expert. So if you're a minister or in ministry in general, this is the episode for you because for some reason that's what she focuses on. She says she can't cuss, so she's not a good cusser.
No, I'm not.
She's not being a good black person. She's not the best black in the drawer, but she's proper. She's too smart and she do things too well. Matter of fact, you said you went to a dance or something, and you had on you thought you was killing them. You thought you was killing the game with this dress on, but you said, "Man, I come up in this thing, I'm shutting it down." You got clown. What? Tell us about the experience.
That was funny. I wore the dress that I wore to my senior prom. It was like this red. It was kind of fitted. It had the sheer little mermaid thing from the thigh down. So I wore that to a military ball. Man, they was looking at me like, wow. Well, I thought when they were saying wow, I thought it was a compliment. They're like, wow. I was like, how we are. I crossed my legs,
And that wow was like, wow.
I know. It was the wrong wow.
So you thought you was killing the game, looking good from Pottstown, got the fit on, got the body in shape. They look at you like, wow.
Right. They're like, Sharee, where are you from? No, they call me Wilkes. Wilkes, where are you from? I'm like, near Philly. Where are you from? Pottstown. Okay. It makes sense now.
It's like saying you do your own hair, and they say, "Oh, okay." Right. It's a different thing of saying, "Oh, okay, you do your own hair," and it's like, "Oh, okay, you do your own." I see you. It's a difference between that.
There's a difference. See, now I know.
So you've taken all those life experiences, done all those things, and you decide to go into writing books, not children books, but you actually decide to start telling your story because you got a serious situation that happened in your life or why you actually wrote your first book.
Right,
In
absolutely.
2006, you wrote your first book and you start talking about, before we get to that, how important is it for you to tell your own story though and writing your book?
Well, I think it's critical. I think it's critical because number one, nobody can tell it like you. And I believe that every person, they have strengths, they have skills, they have experiences that can really pull some people up out of dark places. And this is a way that you can leave a mark. You can leave a mark in your family, in your community, in the world.
That's
So
writing a book.
by writing a book, by telling your story. But I can tell you, Troy, everybody might not be ready to tell their own story, but they still have some sort of skill or expertise or something that they can share with others.
Mm-hmm. So, for example, when you wrote your first book in 2006, you said, I'm gonna write it. You had the question that everyone always asks themselves is, how do I get the editors, right? You got the number one question people ask, how do I get the editor to do it? And then also, how do I get the design going? They start thinking about all that stuff before they even start writing their own book in general.
Right.
How do you answer that? How do you help people answer that question? How did you go about doing it?
Well, I can tell you for me, I'm not the type of person that has those types of questions. I don't get, that's just my personality. I don't get worked up in, oh, how are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? It's more a, why am I doing it? So there's something that inspires me and I get a fire in me and I have to get it done. So with writing my book, because my book is about overcoming tragedy, we had lost 3 babies. We had 3 babies die in a row, a few months apart. And so I knew I was going to die. Like I knew that was just going to be the end of it. I was here alone. That was going to happen for me. And then so my mom, she just said to me, she was like, Sharee, listen, she was like, I know that you've always had this gift of writing, but why don't you just write your story? Why don't you journal your story and maybe see if, you can get some healing from that? So as I started writing my story, I didn't write it with the intention of putting it out into the world, but it was I just need to feel better. I needed to live. And I couldn't think of many reasons to keep going at that point. So I started.
Go ahead. Go. I'm sorry.
But I was going to say that as I started writing the story, I realized I was like, man, I done been through some stuff. Like, this is a really dark place. Man, I would hate for somebody else to be going through something like this. I never met anybody who went through something like that. I was like, there might be other people like me wondering the same thing. They want to die. They don't know what to do. I got to help these people. And so it turned from there. I started looking for other people who could maybe share their story because I was like, mine is so outrageous. How many people can even relate to this? And I didn't want to overwhelm people with, come on, we had 3 little babies. 2 of them died in my arms. Like that's heavy. That can overwhelm people. And I found that when I shared what had happened, people would disqualify themselves. They would say, oh, wow, I could never survive what you went through. I just had a miscarriage. My baby was just 11 weeks when it passed away. I don't even know if it was a boy or a girl. And I'd be like, no, don't disqualify yourself. Your story has meaning too. There's other people who lost babies at that time period, and you can help. Hey, why don't you share your story in my book? And so I found people and ended up with a collection of stories. And it grew from there. I never worried about, oh, who's going to edit this? How are we going to make it look good? And all those types of things.
But let's go back though. Let's dive in because you just skirted over a deep story, right? Like when you lost 3 babies. So there weren't just regular miscarriages though. When you and your husband was trying to was this your first 3 tries?
This was our first 3 tries. And I don't like the term regular miscarriages because for a parent who goes through something like this, I'd say especially the mother in the early pregnancy, she is, this is the worst thing she's ever encountered. And the truth is you don't know that worse is out there until you go through it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yes, they were our first 3 babies, and our first baby was, a little boy named Christopher, and he died after 10 days. I mean, I went into the hospital. I was having all these feelings. I didn't know what a contraction was. I had just started with these, the parenting classes with the birthing class. I just started with a birthing class. So, I mean, we barely got to our first little class before I was having some issues. Went to the hospital. I could hear some doctor in the background talking about, I can see the head. I was like, "What? Whose head?" It was my baby's head. And so I had to lay there in the hospital for man, I was in the hospital for longer than 10 days
Mm.
trying to hold that baby in. They were trying to get me to where the baby would be viable, where he would be able to survive. So I just laid there. My head was lower than my heart. So I'm like in an upside down position for like 10 days trying to keep the baby in. And then they're giving me medication that would cause the labor to stop. I mean, honestly, I said before I got in that position, I would do anything for my child. But I was so miserable. I couldn't breathe. I'm eating, using the bath, like everything in an upside down position.
Mm.
It was so awful. I just wanted it to end. I was
Mm.
like, I can't do anymore. I mean, I'd be eating, my food would be right here for like the rest of the day. Couldn't
Oh.
breathe. It was awful. And so going through experiences like that, and then to have it happen over and over again. Our baby was born. He lived for 10 days in the NICU, and
Mm.
then little man died in my arms. So this was life defined. Like, honestly, there isn't even a word to fully capture how devastating it was to have that happen.
And that was your first child. Did the second one, was it the same thing?
A similar thing happened. I,
Wow.
ended up, so this time they were like, "Hey, well, we're going to give you some drugs to help you." So I added injections and weekly appointments and bed rest. I was on bed rest for 2.5 months with our second son, and still ended up in the hospital, dilated, and ended up giving birth to him. Two days later, he, again, he ended up dying in my arms. And that was not because he wasn't strong enough to survive, but this is a lesson on forgiveness. I'm going to share with you guys really quick. What happened with him is the respiratory technician was not able to intubate him properly. And, he wasn't able to survive that procedure because
Mm.
of a mistake with the respiratory technician. And so they said he's not going to make it. I just grabbed him and held him, and he died in my arms as well. So, it was ridiculous. I mean, like I said, there aren't words to capture this type of thing, and the fact that they happened so close together. And then we had other trauma and drama happening in our lives at the same time. Just for an example, we had moved to Hawaii. So we were living in Hawaii. We didn't know anybody, to go through something like that. And to be so far from both of our families, it was a crazy, crazy time.
So both you and your husband, both in the military?
Yes, yes, we were both in the military, but when I started having children, I was not in the military.
Mm. Okay.
So, yeah, so after having our second baby, that's when I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. And that's when I jumped into a actual writing career. That's when my professional career began. I got a job as a newspaper editor. I was a photojournalist. I was in media relations, and so I was really developing my skill at that time. And I didn't realize that I was making connections. Like, can I just say as a side note, just always be warm and welcoming to people, not because you never know who you might need later, but just make that who you are. Because when you do need something, people will show up for you in amazing ways. So you do it because that's who you are, but there
Mm.
are benefits to just being warm and caring towards other people, and to, maintaining relationships. So that's what happened for me with my first book. When I was ready to start writing, all of those relationships that I had cultivated as a newspaper editor, people were just coming to me to work and help me for free.
Mm.
You know what I
So
mean? Mhm.
could you say so that was but that's only your second situation.
Yes, yes.
You wrote your book on your second situation.
So I did not write the book then, okay?
Okay.
So it was once I got pregnant for the third time. I was pregnant for the third time. We left Hawaii. We came here to Fort Campbell. Soon after we got here, within, I would say, a couple months, 2 months later, we closed on our house. My husband was gone. He was deployed. He had to go to Iraq for a year. So I'm thinking, okay, pregnancy is different this time. We've been praying, fasting, and believing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to nurture this baby through this deployment. This is what's going to help me get through this deployment. I'm going to have a baby. So I didn't mind being here by myself and not knowing anybody. And so, a few months though, after he was gone in November 2005, I go in for my routine appointment and they can't find a heartbeat.
Mm.
So that was completely different from what had happened in the previous 2 pregnancies. I knew what to expect there. I'm doing these injections, I'm doing all this stuff, and it didn't work. It didn't work. So I think this was a moment where really my faith was on the line at this
Mm.
point. Because I heard God who said that I would have many children.
You sound like old school Sarah. I'm going to
Exactly.
nah.
Exactly.
Then Sarah laughed, and then the angel said, "What you say?" Oh, I ain't saying nothing. You laughing? You're like, man, I'm 20 years old, man. I done went through 2 miscarriages. You talking about me? I done heard this promise, blah blah. Faith on the road. So like this young someone put on here said, yes, it's tough to deal with because you feel like your body betrayed you.
Yes.
With the you feel like your body betrayed you, and you feel like God may have betrayed you, right? Because you had to go through all those mental and you was by yourself on the third time.
Yes, and you know what's crazy? You mentioned Sarah. Oh my goodness. Me and Sarah. Woo. I told we had a lot in common. I told my husband, yo, you just need to get you somebody who can have babies. Like, seriously, go ahead. I'm not even mad. You go ahead and do what you have to do.
You gave him a hall pass.
I did. He wasn't having that. He, of course, but I felt like I was a failure as a woman. Like, I mean, I'm not even a woman. Like, don't even call me that. Man.
And your mama told you, Sharee, put all that into a book. Or write.
Yeah, she told me to write. Now, this was after,
Right.
we lost a third baby, and Henry was gone, and I drove to Pennsylvania from Tennessee. I drove over there to hang out with them and just to heal. And so
put it on paper.
Right. And she was just like, why don't you write? Just, sit down and write your story. And I was like, oh, okay. And I started writing. And I remember I emailed myself the beginning of my story, and I finished it up at home. I decided I was going to come back to Tennessee. I wasn't going to hide out in Pennsylvania, even though I didn't know anyone here. I decided I was going to come back here and build my life. I wasn't going to run from this. And so, I had beautiful people come into my life to help me through that time period. I mean, when you deliver a stillborn baby, you can't just drive home from the hospital after something like that. You need somebody to take you home. So strangers came and they filled that void. They helped me. They did so much, so much. I mean, I'll never be able to repay them, but it changed my life and helped me see what love looks like when it's in action. You know what I mean? Because for a stranger to sit with me while I'm delivering a baby that's not alive, and to do all those things, they were taking shifts just to sit with me. So I would always have somebody there, people who didn't know me. That touched me deeper than anything I ever read in the Bible.
And guess what? And so it's the reason why I had Miss Moore go into details about her situation before she wrote her first book. Because we got to learn what we learn over time as authors is that you want to be able to relate to someone, and someone got to be able to relate to you. And then when you realize that your story is important, there's other people that think the way you do. Somebody is being impacted.
Right, right.
So that's why I wanted her to go into this story, into that, to talk about her background with that. She talked about how she was in newspaper editing. She talked about how she had the experience in that. She talked about a little bit about her upbringing, her thought process about how she's seen things, how she may have been judged on the outside, but then she got to the nitty gritty of why is it important? My story is important. She shared that because there's people out there that think like you. They may think their situation is not as much as bad as yours, and you find out when you think your situation was bad, someone else's situation was much worse than yours. I mean,
yes.
When it's bad, you find out, oh, you went through that. I thought mine was bad.
Right, right.
And like one person posted on here said, I can relate.
Right.
It's important about being able to have a relatability. And believe it or not, there's a niche or a market out there, someone that think the same way you do, to say, I'm the only one to go through this. So I wanted her to share that. So Cedric had mentioned, asked the question, so how do you develop a marketing and advertising strategy for a book in a digital and virtual world? We're going to get to that, but I want her to share that story, because the first step you want to do is actually put the story down, put it on paper before you even think, like she said, before you start marketing, before you think about worrying about who you're going to get it to, write it out, and now we're going to get into the whole scope about self-publishing the book.
Right.
Because like she's seen as women that thought like she did, like someone mentioned on here, I can relate. It's like your body betrayed you. Next thing you know, now you drawing it in to say, I have something that people want to read.
And you know what? And I appreciate that, Suzette, where you're saying that, you think that you may want to write a book. You know what? Good for you, Suzette. I encourage you in that. And for anybody who's listening, I want to just speak to something that I see very common. Sometimes when a person shares an extreme story like mine, you'll look at everything, like all of my credentials. Okay, you're an editor, you're this, you're a writer, you had this extreme thing happen to you. Oh, I don't have anything like that. You'll still find a way to disqualify yourself. But there's always somebody who can learn or be blessed from your experiences right where you are. It doesn't have to look like my story. My story isn't for everybody, but you have your own. So don't do no comparisons.
So, and Suzanne, my mother, right? I've always told her, she's always been a writer, and she can relate to having a child that didn't make it and all that. My brother George was born, umbilical cord around his neck. It's a full-term baby. Died. You follow what I'm saying? My brother and I still acknowledge that Jordan was around. You know what I'm saying? So, and she was a single-parent mother, raised all three of us on her own. So her story, I always tell her and encourage her. She has a story. My wife has a story. Everyone has a story to tell, even as simple as you think it may be. Like I tell people in ministry stuff, you might think your story is simple. You may think you may not have gone through anything. And then you find out, oh, snap, I did go through some things. Like you said, you start writing it out, you start noticing, I did go through things, right? So let's go ahead and get to it now about actually self-publishing the book now. So Cedric had mentioned about, hey, how do you start, how do you actually advertise in the digital era? Can you talk about that?
Yes, I can. And you know what? I'm going to introduce you. Maybe this might be a new concept for you with regard to marketing your book. But let me backtrack and just say that commonly when a person publishes a book, what they normally do is they upload that book to Amazon using their print on demand service. And they're like, yes, I got my book. They might even get a ranking. They might even get a best-selling ranking or something like that. And they feel this sense of completion and they feel like they're good. Well, I want to encourage you to think differently about how you put your book into the world. And this is related to marketing. I encourage people to start marketing and selling your book before you even finish it. Like, don't wait till you're finished to start marketing and telling people about your book. You can do it before you publish the book, before you even finish writing, before you even have your cover designed, because most of the people who connect with you, they're part of your warm market. And these are your family, your friends, your associates. Okay. These are your peers. These are people who know you or who you have some sort of connection with on social media. Those are the first buyers of your book on Amazon, right? But guess what? When you go straight to Amazon and you're posting on social media and things like that, and your customers are going to Amazon, you're only getting uh, a 35% commission or a 70% commission, depending on the cost of your book. So I want you to be more strategic and intentional and set up a very simple sales page of your own. You can do that for as little as free or $10 a month. And it can take you about 30 minutes, no more than an hour. Like if you are on the struggle bus with technology, it can take hour tops, okay, to set up a simple sales page. Collect all them coins for yourself. I had a client who just recently, with just 2 posts, sold 50 books. Well, with one post, sold 50 books. I'd say a week and a half, 2 weeks of posting has made more than $3,600. No royalties, none of that. It's just all the cash coming to him. And he's just doing this. My clients are just doing this by posting to social media. So you want to know, Cedric, you want to know how to post, right? You want to know what you need to be saying on social media. Number one, first of all, don't jump right into the paid advertising, okay? You don't need to set up a Facebook ad at first because a lot of us don't even have advertising dollars. A lot of us haven't even thought about a marketing budget, okay? Haven't even thought about that. You're thinking about just hitting that publish button and having your finished book in your hand. That's the extent of the thought process. But as you're treating this like a business, right? What you want to do is you want to understand that people now, they're very savvy and they're tired of being sold to. So what you're going to want to do is start posting relatable content. Just posting, just sharing about your life, sharing motivational information, sharing things that are not related to making a sale. Okay. Your whole objective is just to engage with people and let them know who you are. You can post all those funny things that you laugh about privately. Just post it on your page. Stop sharing from someone else's page. What you want to do is you want to be copying and saving the photos, take those extra steps and post it to your own social media. Give them credit. Hey, yes, okay. But post from your own page, right? And then so people are going to start, Facebook is going to be like, what? Who's this over here? Cedric showing out. We going to send some more people his way.
I wish it was
more. Yeah, let's put them in a few more news feeds, right? And then what you're going to do to make actual sales, is you just start posting things that make people curious about your book. You'd be like, so guys, what do you think? Which cover do you like the best?
Jasmine, we got you, Jasmine. I know you be hanging, Jasmine. I got you. I said, do you believe in having a ghostwriter?
Well, hey, I am a ghostwriter. I'm a ghostwriter, and I can tell you that I only recommend this service for people who are you have a budget, number one, because it is pricey to have somebody write your book. Okay, number two, you want to make sure that you don't have the time to write it yourself. This is for busy people. And number three, you want to make sure that you're pretty clear about the direction that you want to go with your book. And you need to understand that you're working side by side with a ghostwriter. You're not just saying, hey, I want you to do my book, and then they hand you a book at the end of it. So it's a process still. I do recommend a ghostwriter if you're busy, you can't do it yourself, and you have a budget. Yep. I'm wondering though, Cedric, did I answer your questions about the marketing and things like that as well? Because you're posting, you're getting people curious and engaged, and then you're sharing information about your books, and people will they'll naturally just say, hey, well, how can I get a copy? Well, guess what? You didn't listen to Sharee, the writing coach, and you set up your simple sales page. So you have a link to send them. You have a place to send them in order to get the money.
Cedric, I'm going to tell you this too. Believe it or not, doing a book is just like selling your album. So Cedric is a musician. He's an artist. So it's just like marketing and selling your own album. The first thing you got to do first, though, is write the book out. That's the first step because you can do, or the fact is you pre-sell it. So like, for example, I got that book I'm pre-selling. I want to get the gauge of what's out there first before I jump into saying I want to spend time on writing this full book. Just like doing an album, you got to actually record the music or have the idea about the music, get a sample of it, or maybe get a description of it, and then put it out there to see if the market likes it or want it. Now, if you're not really enthralled or bought into it, and Sharee, correct me if I'm wrong, if you pre-sell it or put it out there in the beginning, someone can actually say, the market let you know if they want it or not. Right? Am I right or wrong? Tell me if the market.
This is the truth, but there's ways that you can find out without already starting to write your book. You have your ideas. I recommend come up with 3 solid ideas, 5, 10 if you have them, okay? And then get on Amazon. Get on Amazon and do your research there. There's more than 42 million books on Amazon. It's a great place to do research, not just that last minute shopping, right? So you go there, you find other books that are in that genre, that are on that topic that you're interested in writing. And then so as you're looking at these books, this is where your gold is. Your gold is found in the comments and in the reviews. Right. What are people saying about these books? You know what I mean? You should be jotting it down. You should be looking at the weak reviews and the strong ones. What do people love about this? Look through the table of contents. What topics are these authors covering? So it helps you create that blueprint for yourself. And it really does save a lot of extra effort.
Well, I'll tell you, Sharee, this is one thing I was faced with now. So if you didn't know, I wrote my own book as well called The Mindset of Successful Thinking, which is all about helping people understand what the importance of success is. So I relative to the person. But one thing is people see how thin that book is? See, it's not a large book. What's your thoughts on the size of the book?
Well, I can tell you this, if this gives you anything, it really is dependent upon your audience, number one. And you have to understand that people have short attention spans. For example, I have a book right now that I sell on pre-selling your book, right? That book is 30 pages, including the cover, and I sell it for $27. But people snap that up.
Hold on a second. See how she said it? So it's only 30 pages and I sell it for $27. Like she's just straight up thugging on it.
It's $27 because guess what? I'm teaching people how to make money and to make money right now. So when you're selling a book that's teaching people how to develop a skill, make money, be more confident, if you are sure of your result, you can charge more for that book. Don't make it a thin book that you're selling for $2.99. If you're giving someone an expected result that could change their life or change their financial situation or change, you know what I mean? So you can, but now look, I just want to give you an example. I have been interested in learning about the stock market, right? So I went and I picked up this book, and this is how thick it is. But guess what? This is overwhelming. I mean, and I know you can't see it, but the print is pretty fine.
You see them pages turning? It look like a lot.
It's a lot. This can be overwhelming. So guess what I ended up doing? I sat this right over here, right? And I have been on YouTube. I have been asking advice. I've been reading little articles that I find online because it's just too much. There can be too much. So your book, about 110, 120 pages, that's I'd stick with that range.
And that's the purpose I actually told myself is that, and I encourage everyone else too, is that it comes down to how much of an impact it's gonna make. And there's people that got books out here that's like as thin as a menu. And you can't even put a word on the binder. You call me
right.
It's a Cheesecake Factory menu. A Cheesecake Factory menu like 18 pages.
Right.
But if it's impactful, it can be 3 pages, but it changes someone's life. It don't even matter.
Right. Can I give some advice? Who's ready for some advice? I mean, all right. Listen, if you know you got a pamphlet, okay, but it's good, just make it an ebook. Listen, stop sneezing on ebooks. Ebooks are the way, just like Cedric mentioned, this is a digital age. You can make a killing with ebooks, and I highly encourage it. That's what I did for my pre-sale formula. It Make it an ebook.
Well, so the thing I wanted to ask you, first of all, Cedric asked a question. He said that he's in the process of writing his book, 3 chapters of 7 of them. How do you keep the inspiration going, and how do you avoid writer's block? Can you answer that?
Yes, yes. Okay, so keeping your inspiration, again, that is tapping into your why. I mean, you have a reason for why you're putting this book out to the world. It needs to be compelling enough to get you from beginning to end. Okay. If reflecting on why you're doing this, if you can't hype yourself up with that, the likelihood of you getting to chapter 7 are very slim. So, okay, if currently you're finding that your why is not very strong, you can develop it. You can further develop it. And one thing that I do is I think about one person whose life I want to impact. So, like when I was doing my book here, Stolen Angels, all I could think about was, man, there's a mom who is sitting there right now. She's a mom, but she doesn't have living children. I mean, nobody understands what she's going through. It's midnight. There's no one to call. People are sick of hearing her story. Oh my goodness, I have to get this done now because there are so many people like her. And I would really visualize this woman, this imaginary woman, and I'd be right into her. And it motivated me to finish that book. I had this whole book. This book is 260 pages, stories, edited, everything. Oh, I'm sorry, 208 pages. I got this done in 9 months from first word to last word, pulling it off the truck in 9 months because that burning why. So you have to tap into that. So that's for your inspiration. And with the writing block, you can't avoid writing block, but having some personal accountability and being committed to sit down every day for at least an hour to do the work. You can't
Oh,
expect to get paid if you're not willing to do the work. And I'm not saying sit down at the same time every day because you'll start ignoring those alarms. If you're anything like me, man, this phone be going off all the time, little reminders and stuff. Doing it the same time every day does not work for me. Sometimes I'm inspired in the morning. Sometimes I'm inspired late at night. So just be committed to your hour and get it done. You got this, Cedric.
yeah. I mean, so you touched on the ebooks, and Cedric, man, I'm telling you, you already got the full-fledged blueprint, dog. When you write music, you're singing to somebody, and when you're writing CCM songs, you're singing to God, all that stuff. So I mean, he got all the tools of that. Jasmine also has. I was just gonna get to that, Cedric. God dang it! Let me go and get. Let me go and get.
I know why you rushing the man, Cedric. Can he
Yeah,
get
look. Jasmine is a credit expert, and she has tons of tools and opportunity where she can really explode on that arena. Her husband's in real estate, so y'all need to connect for sure.
Well, okay, so Jasmine, okay, quick idea. And I always tell the credit repair people this: if you don't already have something written, doing a book, but you want yours to be you want a printed book, you want like a workbook, and you want an ebook, Jasmine. Okay. So one of
I gotta say, Jasmine, I could have sworn you might have heard that before. I think you may have heard it before. I don't know. I think this guy may have mentioned it, but go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So Jasmine, you want to do that? You want to be using your ebook to or you could even call it just a digital download. You want to be using that to build up your email list and draw people in, right? You want to be able to give them a gift in exchange for their email, right? So you're doing that with your digital product, but with your workbook, this is something that just adds value to the service that you provide. You're able to charge more when you're giving people something tangible. Okay. Now, this is some next level stuff. I don't know if you're ready for it, but hey, please just take it and run with it if you have the heart to do that. But you can also, with your workbook, provide a file, like a little swipe file. And this has just all the templates for the letters and everything like that a person would need. So instead of them just having to retype from your book, you can, as a added bonus or as part of your package, you can also send them download where they can get all the templates that they can customize for their different banks and things like that.
Hmm. So, Sharee, that's something that you can do, right?
That is something that I do. Like if you want a whole packet, like you want your workbook, you want your templates, you want your digital guide, you want everything packaged together. Absolutely. My team and I have a team of professional designers that do your interior design, your cover design. I'm a professional editor and writer, and we can get you straightened out in 30 to 45 days.
What?
Yes.
What?
We
So, but
believe in getting moving. Like you want results. You're not investing in a service and then you got to wait 6 months to receive it, right? You're trying to make moves now. So we understand that when we get it done.
you see why I brought her on here, y'all. This girl is dropping all type of nuggets and value about self-publishing. We just talking about the start, beginning stages. So Cedric mentioned what's best, ebooks or the hard copies, and you just said it. Like for example, Cedric sells, he got a CD, and he also has this. And I've been trying to, we just talked about this in the past about doing the digital part is one thing, but having a hard copy. He's a firm believer in still having hard copy CDs because his audience, the church audience, sometimes can be a little older. They still want the CD.
Right. So that see, your audience. And so that's half the battle right there. It's going to be really easy for you to talk to that one person, as you're trying to find inspiration. But listen, I think both are important. And as a person who travels and you sing or play or whatever type of music you do, you want to be able to put something tangible in people's hand. At the same time, we're not going to neglect the fact that the Amazon market is huge. And for you to have your ebook in that Kindle Select program, it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. So don't neglect that.
Well, she's going to post her information up because she's going to put her webs. You can go follow her at, where is it right here? It's Glow. It's Glow Girl Sharee.
Right.
Glow Girl Sharee. I'm gonna put in Glow Girls. Tell us why you put Glow. What's up to Glow Girl Sharee? What is that?
You know what? You need to let your light shine, right? And that is who I am as a person. I feel like in the darkest places, my whole life mission is to glow. So I do that through encouraging, empowering, edifying other people. This book writing business, this self-publishing business, this is just one medium in which I can express that. So if I can help reach into your life and help pull greatness out of you and cause you to produce something that's going to create a legacy, right? That's going to impact your family, your financial situation, to teach you things that really just help you glow up. I've done my part. I fulfilled my mission in the earth.
I love her. She's so humble. Don't let her fool you, Jasmine. Don't let her fool you. But there's her information right there. Glow Girl Sharee right there on the screen.
Right. You can find me on Facebook and on Instagram. Feel free to send me a friend request as well.
We're going to get ready to get you out here in a second. I got, we getting in it. People going to be on it. So share this video to anyone that's wanting to actually write a book. They need help on getting started on writing a book. They need help on actually publishing a book. It's one thing to start writing it. It's one thing to publish it, but it's one thing to actually write it. And she'll help you do that. I love the fact that she said doing a workbook, especially like with the credit building. Jasmine wanting to know, she said that, hey, she does credit and her husband does real estate. Can she put it all in one book, or would you want to keep it separate?
Jasmine, I'm going to share with you a secret. This is the type of thing that my clients pay me well to share with them. Okay. I'm going to share something with you, and I hope that you'll take it and you'll run with it. Okay. Because I feel that a lot of realtors are missing. If I were a realtor, I would absolutely have credit repair as part of my business. I would have the two, because guess what? People are looking at their dream homes, right? And don't even have the credit required to secure the financing that they need. So you need to be considering a series, right? And you need to use your credit repair as a way to draw in and engage with those who are looking for homes. There's a whole market of people who think that they're disqualified. You can build them up. You're building a relationship. And when they are ready to buy, because you have provided excellent service, you've helped them through something that is often shameful, that they've been ashamed of and been putting off. You've like relieved them of a huge burden. Oh, they're going to buy with you. They're going to sell with you.
Is this Sharee show? Is this Sharee TV? Is this what this is?
Just speaking.
I mean, this dropping all these nuggets. I might as well just get off the screen. Goddamn.
You do this, right? But listen, don't put both of them in the same book.
I'll make myself little.
So, Jasmine, don't put them both in the same book. You want to have a credit repair book, and you talk about real estate, and you provide information about how your credit can really be the gateway or be that bridge to securing the home that you desire. But in the next part, in your part 2, volume 2, you're talking about real estate. Let's take this conversation deeper. Your credit is repaired. Now let's go on ahead and expand on that and talk about the best way to secure the home of your dreams. And then maybe you'll talk about real estate investing in your 3rd book. So that's really one of the main points I want to make. Don't make yourself a one book wonder. Talk, have a series in mind. Take all those ideas. How are they linked? Stay on the same topic and squeeze it dry,
Jasmine, she just said a real estate investment book. Did you hear what she just said?
And this should be all a part of your series. And absolutely, it would be my honor to help you, show you how to create a series and how to do that well. Because that's how people get paid on Amazon. That's how they get paid, guys. Like, I'm talking about regular folk, people who don't have a big time publisher, people who don't have Penguin, people who don't have the resources that TD Jakes has. A regular person like you and me, we get paid on Amazon by having more than one book on Amazon. Okay.
Well, do we need to stop? Because yes, you got kids and everything. Because this is another thing. She had the 3 situations, but she has children now, and they're older.
Yes.
You have.
Yes. Listen, I have a whole village. Okay. I have a clan. I have a wolf pack. So we got a little carried away. See, what had happened was we got carried away. And so we have 4 children today.
Wow.
Guys, the amazing thing is, and this is the part of my story that I love, after publishing this book, after I picked this book up, my husband, he came home from Iraq just in time for us to go to Nashville, go to the book printer and pick up these books, right? And not a month later, I was pregnant with who is now. Yeah, we had to make up for time. He'd been gone a year, you know what I mean? He'd been gone a year. And so we ended up pregnant, had our son who is now 13 today. That wasn't good enough. The enemy done stole 3. We were going to have at least 3, right? So then again, we have an 11-year-old, right? And then again, we have a 9-year-old. And then again, we have a 7-year-old. And listen, I did all the things. I went and I homeschooled these kids. Oh, because we was going to be together. And we couldn't just stop at 3. We wanted 4. We wanted our cup to run over. And that's exactly what's happened in our lives. So,
wow. I mean, I'm saying, Sarah, you just were laughing. You got the same story, boy. Y'all hard-headed. End up getting but that's a blessing, man. But so, before you go, I want you to answer the question of why did you concentrate on preachers, teachers, and evangelists? What's that whole thing? You can't cuss good. Apparently, you must have grew up in the church, but church in Pennsylvania in Pottstown. What's how did it all connect?
What it is, you know what? Like many of you, I was on a journey trying to figure out, okay, who is the right audience? Who can I help? Who can I serve? Who will be my customers? I needed repeat customers, and I did not know a pastor who did not want to write a book.
Mm.
Pastors always want to write a book. They always want to write a book. And I figured, you know what? They're writing every week for these sermons. You know what I can do? I can take their sermons and I could put it together in a book. Like I can do that. You
Mm.
know, if they have recorded material, I can take that and I can put it in a book. And so I knew I could shut down any excuse a pastor has for not putting a book together. And then another thing that I found out as I was working with pastors, that even though a lot of these men and women are highly successful and they talk to people and they write to people all the time, or you know, they're always writing, a lot of them have a deep insecurity of putting something out there that's personal. Like, you know, this isn't coming from the pulpit, this is coming from me, the man or the woman. And I found that I could speak to that insecurity and really help them to do something that they had been hesitant about doing. And so it just was a good fit. Then I realized, okay, leaders want to write books too. I want to talk to leaders. And I mean, what, you might be the leader of your home, right, mama? I can help you write a book. You might be in real estate. You might be, I've helped people in all of those industries because you have your expertise, you have a message, and you have an audience that is hungry for that type of information. So it's a good fit.
So the evangelist people and all them folk that they like to talk, they just ain't wanting to write nothing.
Right. You know what? They don't have time. A lot of pastors do not have time. So if I can show them, look, I got you. This is easy. Just I can take this, we're going to put it together and I'm going to make sure that it's done in excellence and it's done quickly.
In 30 to 40 days.
30 to 45 for a workbook and that type of thing. If I'm ghostwriting, we're going to put some months in because there's research required. You know, we don't cut corners. It's important to do things with excellence. You know, so sometimes that takes time.
So the question to being, you don't have to be a person that's so out there big time where you can have a ghostwriter at whatever level you are. If you're busy and you just, as long as you just go through the process, you know, you sit down with you go through that process of getting this story out there, you can do it. You know, you can have someone write the book. That's what they say. Is it like that on the front of the book where it says so-and-so association with or by so-and-so?
No, you know, I don't do any of that. I don't do any of that because
you ghosting, period.
right. I'm like, this is your time to shine. I'm behind the scenes. If you want to give me a shout out in the comments on the copyright page, I appreciate it. I receive that. But this is about you. Like everything with my business and what makes it unique is you don't pay me a royalty. You know, you pay for the service up front, but then I'm going to give you something that you promote in your name. You don't ever have to come back and drop a little something, you know, to me. It's completely in your name. And people appreciate that.
Nice. Well, this was so necessary, Jasmine. You're right. It's very necessary.
Thank you,
Very
Jazz.
necessary. I got a homeboy, my boy Trevor, and if he listening, hopefully you're listening. If not, we'll get you to go around and listen to it again in regards to doing a cookbook. My
Yes.
mother actually wanted to do a cookbook. You know, people that do these weight loss journeys and all that, they want to do cookbooks and want to show their recipes and all that stuff. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Do you have to have words? Can it just be pictures? Can it just be recipes? And
You know what? It can be that. Now, with a cookbook, it's funny. I just put together 2 cookbooks just recently, and guess what? Yes, they were pastors, you know, who put these cookbooks together. They got a collection of friends and things like that together, or people from the church, and then they do their church cookbook, or you know, they put it in their own name. And so, with the pictures, though, you want to have professionally done pictures. Listen, we do things with excellence. So it's important to plate your food and have a professional take a picture of that. So that means that, you know, you're going to do times when you go through your recipe. You're going to be cooking all of this stuff and you have the photographer come, you know, weekly or every 2 weeks to take pictures of the meals that you have plated and things like that, or even the process. That makes it so fascinating. There's so many ideas on Instagram. You can look at how they plate things and do things and use it as a model. Why recreate the wheel, right? So you don't have to have some long story on the opposite page of your recipe, but I can tell you that just adds interest if you let your personality shine as you're sharing what you love. people will buy in. So when cookbook number 2, when volume 2 comes out and volume 3, they're not just hungry for these recipes, they're hungry for you. So, you know,
well, I mean, look,
you receive it how you need to.
Look, if you don't have it up on, let me go back up here again. Contact Glow Girl Sharee for real.
Right.
I don't even get commission for this because I want to show her. I want to make sure she get on point.
No, I'm looking at this scrolling thing and I'm like, I see your Cash App. I don't see mine.
Yeah. Oh,
as a matter of fact, that wasn't even one of the things you asked me about. Like, I'm confused now.
So what we gonna do is
talk about this. You never asked me, hey, what's your
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad. Look, go to the cat. If you like what you're hearing today, if this was so necessary to you today,
you know what?
If this information was so necessary, if this thing made sense to you and you want to keep the NOTI Lounge going and having people like Sharee on, drop a little bit in the Cash App for your boy at the right there, the Troy Smith 35. Look, if you don't have Cash App, you may have Venmo. I got that too. You know, let me know. PayPal, same thing. But just go to the Cash App right there and drop something for your boy. We keep this thing rolling. Man, Sharee, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. It was a blessing, man. It was a blessing. Look, y'all, before we go, hold on a sec, Sharee. Is there anything you like to say before we leave?
There's so much to say, Troy. There's so much to say.
It is. We can go. I think we can go about 3-4 hours. But
right, I know we really could. We really could. You know, okay. This is one thing that I commonly see is I mentioned earlier, you do not have to know all the steps before you make a move. Okay, so get into action and you can go faster than what you're going right now. I find that people often get started and do a little bit, make a little progress, and then they slow down. How about just this time, put your foot on the gas and keep your foot on the gas, you know, just keep your foot on the gas and keep going. Stop slowing down and stopping when you're starting to get some momentum. Just keep going.
Like on the Nutty Professor, when his leg blew up on the gas pedal.
Right. Keep going. You can go faster because I'm telling you, I remember one year you know what, we'll get into that. You'll have to have me back.
We're going to do it again. We got a part 2 coming.
Right. I love it. And I'm going to have to have you back, Troy, because you are amazing. You truly are. You're so inspirational. You know how, like, I sense that same thing in you. You just pull the greatness out of people. Whether they're sitting here in this chair or whether it's, you know, just on the phone, just a regular chat. You just always see that greatness and you pull it out. And I absolutely love that about you.
Hey, same here. The feeling is mutual. We got the same idea, man. So remember, the true outcome of having a mindset of successful thinking is having an unwavering expectation of successfully achieving a predetermined goal, knowing that the outcome was supposed to happen. Remember, the 2 most important currencies in life are time and relationships. Time, you got to invest wisely because you can't get it back. Relationships get you places money can't buy. Jasmine, thanks so much for that love. I appreciate you. I hope y'all had value with Sharee today. Sharee is a very impactful, inspirational person. We're thankful for her, man. And y'all be good. Holla.